Hey everyone, and welcome to 1080-bit. I am Peter, and that is Tim. This is a video game show, which is normally a monthly podcast. This is actually a special bonus edition with me and Tim, and we are going to be talking about Resident Evil 2, the remake, because Tim, just this past week or so, finally finished the second scenario. I'll explain what that means in a minute, but I'm going to assume that most people clicking on this will have an idea of what Resident Evil 2 is and what type of game it is and what we mean when we talk about first and second scenarios. I'll probably be referring to them as the A and B scenario still, because that's what they were called in the original game, even though the new one doesn't technically call them that. But that's just...
They call it like second run or something.
Yeah, second run.
Yeah.
But, you know, Tim wrapped up his second run, and I'd obviously beaten that a bunch of times, so... And Tim said, "Hey, do you want to talk about Resident Evil 2?" And I'm like, "Well, I did it in the podcast already, but we could have like a full-on spoiler discussion and talk about what they did with the story.
Yeah.
We could talk about the changes, since we're both fans and we both played the original, played the new one. So that's what this is going to be. This is going to be a bonus, mostly spoiler-filled Resident Evil 2 talk. We'll start spoiler-free a little bit. I'll get Tim's impressions of the game. We'll talk about the quality a little bit, and then I'll give a spoiler warning, and we'll dive into the game as a whole. So. I guess first things first, Timmy.
Yeah.
You're a fan of the original. You played the original Resident Evil 2 a lot, I assume.
Yeah, definitely. I would say like you're obviously, the big Resident Evil guy, like that's your thing. I'm also like a huge fan, probably not like the level you are, but for me it's
Well,
probably my
you have Castlevania as your
yeah,
main
like
thing.
like Castlevania is my thing. Like I love Castlevania. That's the thing I'm obsessed with. Like Resident Evil is probably like maybe my like third favorite franchise though. And but I mean I really love it.
Hold on,
And
before we move on, what's number two?
yeah. I gotta go with Zelda. I mean, I love Zelda. Sorry, big Nintendo guy. I can't. But I mean, obviously, depends on the situation and stuff. Sometimes you're feeling more in a certain type of mood or whatever. But, and the reason why we're kind of doing this, just if no one, people don't know us from the other shows, we do Screams After Midnight, which is a horror podcast. So
Yeah.
obviously we both like horror stuff. And I remember, like, I specifically remember like when growing up, when I got the first Resident Evil game,
Yeah.
because we're going to the mall, if you can believe it. This was a time when people used to go to the mall to buy stuff.
Let's
And
go to the mall, everybody.
and I just remember my brother going like, "Hey, I'm getting this game Resident Evil," and I was like, "All right, what's that?" And he just said, "It's a horror movie, but like in a video game." And like obviously, like games are so story focused at the like now that's just like whatever, that's not even like a big thing. But at the time, like my mind was blown. It was like, wait a minute, like how do you even do that? And then yeah, I just remember playing the first Resident Evil game and just being like blown away, like damn, like this is a horror movie, but in a video game. It's insane. And then
Well, I mean,
uh
if we're pausing here to do like Resident Evil franchise, like history and like
origin
yeah,
stories.
or origin stories with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like 2 or 3 years younger than you are, so I was a
Yeah.
little bit younger when it came out. I didn't play it the year it came out. I had a PS1. I got a PS1 in like 1998, so I was a little bit later than maybe some kids, because some kids were getting it in like 1996,
I,
1997
I
kind of
think I was
thing.
probably around the same. Like I don't think I got it on. Definitely didn't get it on
Yeah.
launch or anything. Probably like maybe like the Christmas after, maybe.
And I got it for my birthday, right? I got it my birthday in May, and I think it was the Christmas after that where I got some games for Christmas, because naturally
Mhm.
you got games consoles growing up, you get games for Christmas and birthdays and whatnot. And I think it was my cousin who got Resident Evil with her PlayStation, and she had no interest in it. So I was like, "Hey, do you want this game?" And I'm like, and I'd never heard of it. I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll take this thing." There's a guy in the
when like
holding a
yeah,
gun.
when when you're a kid, like just anytime someone's like, "Hey, do you want this?" It's like a godsend. Like, yes, thank you.
Yes,
I
I'll
will.
take
It
it.
doesn't matter what this is. I'll play it for 5 days straight.
In fact, hold on. Talk to yourself, Timmy.
Well, yeah, just kind of continuing off that story though. Like it was. I still there's still so many like iconic scenes just in the first game alone, of just that first time you come upon the zombie, and then all like the cheesy horror dialogue. And The tyrant at the end breaking out of the glass, like those images are kind of like still burned into my brain. Talking about some of the iconic scenes of like the
Oh
first
yeah.
game.
Zombie turnaround. I always really remember the hunter like running up to the door
Oh yeah, yeah,
when you
yeah,
get back to the mansion. I always remember that really vividly. I
yeah,
remember like getting out the mansion, going, "There's more game. Oh, there's this
yeah.
like guardhouse with a shark and all that stuff." And then you get back to the mansion and they've replaced all the zombies with hunters, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is insane."
Yeah.
Because I remember the thing that really struck me when I played it for the first time is it felt very hard at the time. The original games now feel quite easy to me now,
Mhm,
but at the time it felt super hard. And I think
mhm.
what really I remember vividly being like in awe of the fact that because I remember waiting for the first level to end because up until that point every game I'd ever played was split into levels or chapters,
Yeah.
and I was waiting for it to end, and then there was this like realization of like, no, this is like just one big thing. There's no pausing. There's no like it just continues. You just go till the end, and it's like, wow, that's insane. And it added to the immersion. I think this was the game that Resident Evil. I mean, I like some games before then. I played games on the Sega Mega Drive slash Genesis, right? But
Mhm.
this was the game that kind of like showed me that games could be immersive, that games could have an
Yeah.
atmosphere, that the idea of like finding documents and reading about what happened at this mansion in this lab, like
Oh,
that
that
was
was.
fantastic to me at the time.
Oh yeah, that was one of the big things, and I guess I guess I kind of do that now more with like audio logs and stuff like in
Yeah.
like a lot of games. But at the time, it was just like this creepy backstory unraveling, like the whole itchy tasty
Yeah,
thing.
oh yeah, yeah.
That
It
was
felt it felt like you were uncovering a mystery as well as like the
yeah.
survival. And I often compared like survival horror to the movie Aliens, where I realized
Mhm.
that movie in a lot of ways is what I like about these games, is in the sense that the idea that something went down before you got there, and you're like sort of seeing the
Yeah, yeah.
aftermath off of it. The idea of a safe room and the relief when you get into a safe room, or the save room specifically in Resident Evil games,
Yeah.
and this idea of discovery, this idea of managing items, of like every time in Resident Evil when you find more ammunition or you find that key item, there's this feeling of relief, which I don't think is replicated in any other genre. Like in survival horror,
Mhm.
when you find that item, it's like, oh, every item is so valuable. Nothing feels like it's just
Mhm.
like, when you're playing Skyrim and you pick up 150 metal coins and books and tins and
Yeah.
like it's just too much. In Resident
Yeah.
Evil, every single item counts.
Mhm.
Everything
Yeah. And
matters.
then that's why like the first half of the game always takes me a lot longer because I'm like so stingy with my
Yeah.
items. Like sometimes I'll restart things if I get bit just once because I'm like, well, I don't want to use an herb, so let me try that section again and see if I can do it without getting bit or something.
Conservation, Tim. Conservation.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the reason why I
But
rolled
I
away whilst I was talking there is I actually still have my original
oh
like
yeah.
PlayStation game.
Oh, very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
There's a platinum one, which I think in the US you call that greatest hits. Oh,
Yeah.
Tim's reaching for something. He's whipping it out as well. We're comparing.
Yeah, I
We're
think
comparing.
yeah. I think luckily I have them in this room, so I think I don't know if I have the second one, but I got this guy
Yeah,
right
there you go.
here.
I have got the director's cut. I actually bought the director's cut like years later, just for the fun of having it. I did grab my Resident Evil 2 as well, uh,
Yeah,
which is
I,
here.
I got two somewhere. I don't know if I have it here, but
And while we're on it, here's Resident Evil 3. Um, but
Nemesis.
yeah, old Nemesis. So like it blew my mind, and then it took me a long time to beat it, and then eventually it was like, okay, because by this point 2 was already out. By the time I played 1, 2 was already a thing.
Yeah.
I think we were close to 3 when I'd finished 1. So I got 2, and the original Resident Evil 2 it was like, okay, so we're two characters again, but this time each character's got its own disc, and it's like, okay, I'll play
Mhm.
as whoever first. And I think the first time I ever played it, I did Claire A, Leon B. But here's the thing: I remember not knowing this was a thing. I remember just
Mhm.
playing it as Claire, thinking that when I
Mhm.
finished it, I finished it. And at the end of the game, you got this, you know, this save file called Leon B00, and I'm like, what is
Mhm.
this? And it said, play as Leon to finish the story, and I'm like, wait, what? And you put in Leon's disc, and you load that save, and it's like, wait, I start on the other side of the fire, because at the start
Yeah.
of Resident Evil 2, you get separated by a fire, and it's like,
Mhm.
and if you play Leon A, you start off on the same side that Claire A does, and you play the A version of that
Mm-hmm.
character. But both characters have a B version where it's harder.
Mm-hmm.
You get tougher enemies right away. You get another boss that shows up throughout the game, and you get the true ending at the end of scenario B. You have to play it at least twice to get the true ending, and that blew my mind. It was like, wait, there's a whole other playthrough I have to do. Like, because in Resident Evil 1, it was cool you could pick from Chris and Jill, and there was some differences, but you didn't have to play both. Like, you got the story if you just played the one. 2 kind of upped it, and then of course it's very similar in sort of design. Instead of a mansion, it's the RPD instead of this and that. They both end with underground labs and everything else. But to kind of like sort of cut through the rest of the franchise here, I got a GameCube before I got a PS2 because of this game right here, which you can now buy remastered on the PS4 and PC and whatnot. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, yeah, for me, so yeah, the first one had a big impact, but then the second one, yeah, like blew me away. I remember like playing the demo disc leading up to it, and I just remember the opening cutscene. Like I would play it, and then before I can even start playing the game, I would just reset just to watch like the opening cutscene again because I was like so. And you look back on it now, it's like so cheesy and like the
She bit
like
me. Why did
yeah.
she bite me?
Oh, why do you bite me? Like the voice work is like so bad and like stuff, but it's I mean, it still like kind of has like a place in my heart, and then yeah, the game itself I loved, and that was probably my favorite Resident Evil game for a long time. Weirdly, I didn't play 3 for a long time. I ended up like going back sometime later, but I need to play 3 again because I feel like that's like a big blind spot for me. I only played it like once, and then yeah, I did end up getting a GameCube, and I played Resident Evil 0, but I never actually played the remake of 1. I think at the time I didn't really understand that it was like a completely different game.
Really, you thought it was just like a port of the original?
Yeah, like that's what I think. I kind of just figured like, oh, why do I need to replay that or whatever? But obviously, it's very, very different. I didn't play the remake until maybe
PS4,
last year.
Yeah, the new release of it.
But that game's fantastic.
Yeah,
and then,
I mean, Resident Evil Remake was like, instantly my favorite. It became my favorite game of all time. It was like you took Resident Evil 1 and you made it gorgeous. You made it, and those pre-rendered backgrounds hold up. Like
yeah, no, it still looks great. Yeah,
it looks
like, there's a reason
fantastic.
why they don't really like they released on PS4, but they didn't really have to do much.
And I'm a big proponent of fixed camera angles. I'm a big proponent of like the old game design. And even Resident Evil 2 Remake and the run up to it, I was kind of hoping, hey, maybe this could be fixed cameras. I wouldn't be complaining if it was. Not that I'm upset that it wasn't, because ultimately as a new game, things have moved on. I get it, but so here's the thing. So Resident Evil Remake's fantastic. Code Veronica, I think it's a lot of flack, but I think it's a really solid, enjoyable Resident Evil game.
I like that one. Again, that's another one I need to replay because I think I played it a couple of times, but it's been 10 years or something at this point.
Don't
Since
get me
I
wrong,
played it.
it can be frustrating because it's longer and more complex. You can do things out of order and get stuck a lot more easily. But it's old school Resident Evil, and it continues the clear story.
And it's still continuing the story. I would probably say, I don't know if you agree, but this is when the story starts getting maybe a little crazier.
Once Wesker shows up with superpowers, it's like, okay, the story's kind of went off the rails. But
like I can't say that I necessarily like hate it or anything. Like I would probably prefer maybe if they dial it back a little bit. Like I mean, part of me still likes the cheesiness of like Wesker and now having all these kind of like super soldier people kind of and stuff. But and like Code Veronica, there was like the weird brother and sister, right?
The Ashfords.
That was like
they can keep that though. That was a funny story. But I mean, I love 3 as well. I think 3 is a really good game. I hate when people kind of discount 3 as like a side plot. I'm like, no, it's like the end of Raccoon City. It's the like this is kind of a big deal.
I think like at that point, it was like at the end of the PlayStation life cycle, right? I think maybe at that point I just wasn't playing PlayStation as much.
Yeah, I can see that. But I loved it. 3 is like one of the most replayable of the franchise, and so Remake's fantastic. 0 comes out. 0 is the weakest of the original sort of formula in the sense that They did some
Hmm.
really annoying things in that game, and it's not so much that you're controlling two characters. That's fine. I think
Hmm.
the problems with that game is that they took the inventory management and made it 10 times worse by
It's
taking away the item
awful.
boxes, making all
Yeah.
the good weapons take up 2 slots, and actually reducing the number of slots per character. That game is infuriating for the item
Yeah,
management.
I played it when I got the PS4 collection because
Yeah,
it comes with Zero and the remake, and I replayed Zero. I did beat it, but I was like pulling my hair out. I was like, I don't know if I'll ever play this again because just the item management is so infuriating. Just when you think when you don't have enough space, so you get rid of something you don't think you're gonna need, and then like yeah, you're in a completely new section, and it's like, oh wait, no, I actually do need the hook shot or whatever. It's like
yeah. Oh,
Jesus
that
Christ, or
that hook shot is the most annoying item in Resident Evil history.
yeah.
I hate that hook shot with a passion. And Joe, the thing is because they made a big deal when it came out. It's like, oh, you can finally just drop items on the floor and come back to them. And I'm like,
Yeah,
that's a great addition. That is a good idea. But it
yeah,
shouldn't be there instead of the item box. It should be there in
exactly.
addition to the item box,
Mhm.
because the item box is a really useful feature.
Yeah,
So that was it. But I mean,
yeah.
it's still a fun game to play. I think it still has enough warrant. But the story's kind of stupid at this point. It's kind of hard to buy that all this happened right before Resident Evil One. You know, there's a lot of prequel
Yeah.
things, but it's not bad.
Rebecca Chambers, like you never like
Yeah,
when you're meeting up with Chris and stuff, you never really bothered to mention like, oh man, by the way, like man, I just fought this like big leech
I know.
guy. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so then 4 happens, and I have a love-hate relationship with 4. Resident Evil 4 is a fantastic game, right? It is a
Yeah.
fantastic action game that I have replayed dozens and dozens and dozens of times, maybe more so than any other Resident Evil game.
Hmm.
But it also killed my genre, and I'm kind of upset with it for that.
Totally fair. Yeah, it's uh, and I think we see that a lot like with horror movies too, where
Yeah,
a horror movie come out that will be, oh, this is amazing, I love it, but now we have to get ready for the next 5 years of everything trying to ape this movie. Like
yeah, because
it's
it wasn't
sad.
just that Resident Evil stopped being the survival horror that we knew it as. It was like Silent Hill kind of dried up around that time.
Mhm.
You know, other games
Mhm.
like that dried up around that time, and it was frustrating because like I loved what this game is doing, but you know it's a different genre. It's this linear game where you're just moving forward, and it's about taking care of the enemies, and you know it's just more of
Mhm.
an action game, and that's fine. It's a great action game,
Mhm.
but it's not what I'd call Resident Evil. And I know that sounds a little bit snobby or whatever, but like
No, that's yeah.
it is what it is, and like 5 is fun, and I had the fun playing that as co-op. It is. I've noticed that 5 is a bit tougher to go back to. It's not as replayable as 4 is.
Yeah, I some people like really get down on 5, and I'm not. I think I only beat it once, but I thought it was like a fine game. Like,
Yeah,
definitely weak compared to other games in
I
the series,
think
but I didn't have a huge problem.
I think at the time I liked the story more than 4 because the story felt more
Mhm.
actually important to the overall Resident because it was it was Chris and
Yeah,
Wesker. Like it felt like it was now we're culminating some of this shit that we've been dealing with for the last 10 years.
yeah,
Whereas our Resident Evil 4 story is just kind of like Leon's trying to protect the president's daughter, and that's kind of it. It's like a side story almost. The most
yeah.
interesting thing about 4 story wise is actually the closing credits. If you watch the closing credits of Resident Evil 4, you get this like creepy like children's illustrations in the background of like the story of like Salazar or no, sorry, not Salazar, Sadler coming to this town and like corrupting these people and turning them into these awful things. And I'm like, this actually has
Mhm.
atmosphere. The rest of the game could have used some of this. Where is it?
Yeah. I need to. I really really like 4, but it again like everything else, it's been a long time since I played it. I actually I have it for PS4, but I actually haven't gone and
Yeah.
replayed it yet. But that's something I want to do next time I have like a little bit of free time.
Yeah, no, I mean, 4's a great game. I don't want to like be too down on it because it's actually a
Yeah,
fantastic replayable game. But it did create
get
this
exactly
thing.
what you mean though. Yeah.
Yeah, it did create this thing where no one wanted to go back to the old style, and we had this long period of like 5, and then 6 was just straight up garbage. Like 6 is a horrendous game.
Did did you actually beat it or?
I beat Leon's campaign. I got halfway through Chrissy's, and I just got so angry. I quit.
That's actually yeah, exactly what I did. I played as Leon. I beat it. I was not very happy. I think I started playing as like Ada, and then but yeah, I think I was very
Yeah,
quickly like, why am I doing this? This just make me angry. It's oh boy, like 6 is really really bad.
it's
Like
really bad. It's so far off the deep end, and it's like, and so the reason why I'm like doing all this part of the history, this section here, and they had Revelations, which was kind of okay, but it wasn't really classic Resident Evil either. Resident Evil
Yeah,
Revelations 2 was better and more fun. Still not quite what I was wanting. It was still linear, but it was more fun than like
I always, yeah, I always think I want to try to go back and play those. I think I tried at one point. It was just kind of like, oh, this isn't bad, but I'm not really feeling it. But that's something I would like to maybe go back and do sometime. Have you ever played any of the what are like some of the other spin-off games like Survivor
I played
or
Survivor in PS1 and it's just kind of like
yeah.
not good. Survivor 2 in PS2 though is like absolute train wreck. Like that is an atrocious game. I never played Dead Aim or Outbreak, but
Those are like games like I don't really have much interest in them, but
mm,
the it those are the kind of stuff though that like um I might look up online. Like, I very seldom do this where like I'll look up, people playing through a game or something. But I'm like, well, if those, maybe I'm like slightly interested, but don't want to play them enough that I may actually do something like that.
yeah, and they're okay. I mean, they weren't good, but it was like the spin-offs. It's fine. Whereas
Yeah,
this new like action version kind of took over the franchise, and we get to this interesting point where it kind of was quiet for a while, and then we had the surprise reveal of Resident Evil 7,
yeah,
and it was like, oh, it's first person, it's playable in VR, it's doing all these things, it's definitely going back to horror, which is good. But what type of horror is it? Because one of my biggest frustrations actually in this like 10, 15 year period, like just over 10 years, about 12 years, from 2006 through 2000, like 2018, right? Say 2017 maybe, is I always complained that I wanted survival horror to come back, and people, at least certainly in the 2010s, would say to me, "Yeah, but what about Outlast and what about Amnesia and what about all these games?" And it always bugged me because I'm like, yeah, they're horror games, but they're not really Resident Evil or like early Silent Hill. They're
yeah,
hide and seek games. You run and hide in the first person, and I don't like them
yeah.
that much. Like Outlast, I played a lot of Outlast, and eventually I was like, you know what, this isn't for me. I don't like this.
Like after like Resident Evil and Silent Hill, there was so many like clones and like during like PS1 and
Yeah,
PS2 that yeah, I really like, and a lot of them were really bad, but like I still kind of love them. Like, yeah, I do. I kind of miss that heyday of just having so much. But yeah, there's definitely some I would like to see come back or yeah, make a boom
yeah.
again. It's a, I mean, like, well, I think, I mean, my big thing is like, man, I would love. I don't know if it's popular enough. But I would love to have like a new Dino Crisis game.
Hey, if they're definitely going to remake Resident Evil 3. So once
Yeah,
they've done that, like it wouldn't surprise me if like I could almost see them saying, okay, Resident Evil's back to survival horror, so Dino Crisis will be the action one, and we'll
yeah.
do the action Dino Crisis game. That'll be like
I
Resident
think
Evil
that
4.
yeah, that would actually fit really well. Yeah, using
Yeah,
that dynamic. I'd be down for that.
I could see that. So that was just a big pet peeve. It was like for some people, just because it was horror, that fills that void, and I was expected to
Yeah,
like that, and I'm like, no, it's not like it's not item resources, item management. It's not the Metroidvania like getting excited because you finally unlocked that door, you finally found that ammo or whatever, you finally got to that gun. Like those feelings that I loved about these games were just gone for a long, long time in games. Um,
yeah.
and Seven like brought it back to a point, right?
Hmm.
I think Seven is a decent game. There's some things I really don't like about it, but there's some things I do like about it. Like I got really excited when I realized there were save rooms. I realized that I'm looking for like there's a theme to the keys. There's a scorpion key and a snake key, and I'm like, oh, that's
Yeah.
kind of like the old games. I felt like it was kind of a half measure though, in the sense that I felt like even though it was kind of operating like an old Resident Evil game, it felt a lot more streamlined and like it was still like even though technically I was still doing those things, it felt like at any given time there was only one path to really go on. Like there was only ever really
That's fair. Yeah.
like sure I'm going back down there and then coming back up to use that key, but that's all I could ever really do at this part of the game. Whereas in traditional Resident
Yeah.
Evil, you can go in the wrong direction for a while. You can maybe get a couple of items in the wrong order. You can do these things. You
Hmm.
feel like you're mastering the map. In Resident Evil 7, I never really felt like that, but it was mostly more fun to play, especially as the game went on. I thought this ship section I thought was quite good.
Hmm.
I hated the opening chunk with Jack though. I thought that was trying to do the Outlast thing. It was trying to do the scary baddie that you can't kill who's chasing after you. And I know people are going to say, but we're going to talk about Mr. X later, and we are. But when we get to that, I'll talk about why I think it's different and why I think it works in Resident Evil 2. I
Yeah.
actually when I bought Resident Evil 7 at launch, I quit playing it because I hated that Jack section so much. and
Oh,
I didn't touch it for over a year. I didn't finish Resident Evil 7 till October of 2018
oh wow.
because I was excited for 2, and I was like, no, I'm going to finish it. I'm going to get through it. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to say I don't like that it's in first person. I think Resident Evil belongs in third person.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't a big fan of that. Overall, I did like it. It definitely has its flaws. It feels like a weird thing where like Resident Evil 4 is like a departure, but it still feels like you still have the Resident Evil characters. Like it still feels like you can kind of like fit it in the timeline stuff. This
Mm,
feels like a really weird departure where they do try to bring stuff around, like by like the second half of the game, which is fine. And it's not like everything has to fit neatly in this timeline or whatever,
yeah.
or have these like interlocking characters. But I mean, at the end of the day, though, I think it did have like some good horror elements. It had some
Mm.
stealth elements that I did not like. And but I mean, other than that, though, I think overall I enjoyed it. But yeah, not my favorite of the
I,
franchise.
like
I think the at the time though it was such a breath of fresh air from six.
mm,
Like I think we're just
that's
so
true.
done with six that
Like
it's like, all right, at least this is something more horror-y.
don't get me wrong. Like I think it was a step in the right direction. I like a lot of what it was trying to do. I like a lot of what it did. But I wasn't in love with it the way some people were. I still thought it was not
Yeah,
quite hitting what I wanted from Resident Evil, even if I liked kind of the direction it was veering in. For the most part,
that's fair.
you
Yeah.
know, I liked that it was like a more intimate setting. I liked that it was kind of uncovering the mystery again. That part I liked. I don't remember the files being as good though as what I consider traditional Resident Evil. But that's one of the things that I hated in 4 is the files are terrible. All the
Yeah.
files in Resident Evil 4 are basically written by someone like 5 minutes before you get there. So it's like, oh, that American dude's here in the village. He's coming our way. Hide. And I'm like, that's not interesting. Like, give me the texture, the backstory. Give me the world. Give me the world building. Yeah, the files in 4 are really bad for some reason compared to the rest of the games. But I don't even remember if 5 had them. They were definitely
Yeah, I
not a
know.
big part of it if they were.
Yeah.
But so that was where I was with 7, and then we'd heard like maybe before 7 came out that they got approval to work in Resident Evil 2. Remember the We Do It
Well,
video?
the I mean, I don't know how long uh it'd been rumored or whatever, but I mean, after the remake of the first one, wasn't like a remake of two like kind of being whispered around?
People wanted it. Like I mean, I know I did. Like because in Zero actually there's like a small area from 2 that you go visit, and it was like, oh, here's what 2 would look like as a remake, and it's like, oh man, I want this
Yeah.
badly, and so it's funny because I think the reason why I'm saying this on two fronts. I think in the sense that after remake 1 you wanted 2 remake, right? But also in the sense that after 0 we didn't have like a traditional like Metroidvania style Resident Evil survival horror game again until Resident Evil 2 remake. So I think on both of those counts, when I say I was waiting like 16, 17 years for Resident Evil 2 remake, that's what I mean. I mean it both in terms of
Yeah.
I wanted it after 1, but even more so after 0, that genre kind of died. Like it was mostly gone, and I've been waiting
Yeah.
so long for this game. And when they revealed the trailer at E3 last year, and we got a glimpse of Leon, we got a glimpse of Claire, we got a glimpse of Mr. X, the RPD. I was beside myself, and I was like, okay, I hope this is good. But what have they changed gameplay wise? What have they done to it? And seeing that first footage of like when you first arrive in the RPD and seeing like finding the puzzles and finding things in the item boxes, I was like, this looks like it might be exactly what I want. And obviously,
Yeah.
I didn't want to get too hyped. I didn't want to get too hyped and be disappointed. I didn't want to like, you know, to sort of sum up this opening section, which went on far longer than I thought it would. Resident Evil 2 Remake is the game I've been waiting for 16 years. It's exactly what I wanted. It's everything that I could have wanted, almost. There's maybe one or two little caveats that I'll get to later, but ultimately I've been waiting, a decade and a half for this game, and it met my expectations. It was after being denied everything I like about these games for the most part for the last 15 years. It was like, no, here's the puzzles, here's the item boxes, here's the save rooms, here's the feeling that the ammo's important, here's the feeling of the characters you like. It took away the cheese, it made it a bit more or less cheesy, and made it feel like a more of a proper story, which I actually kind of like. It's kind of nice to do that for a change.
It works for like I mean, part of me likes the cheesiness of the
Yeah.
originals, but when you're doing a modern game, yeah, you don't it wouldn't really work the
Yeah.
same.
I'll still go back and play the original though. Like you
Oh
know,
yeah, without a doubt.
like,
Yeah.
I
Well,
still
actually, when was the last time you played the original? Like, did you play it in anticipation of
I
this
did
coming up?
I played pretty much all of the series up until um four
Mhm.
between like summer and like October last year, so fairly recently.
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe it might have been around October. So I actually had got a Vita and actually had like an old
Yeah.
uh version of yeah, like the first three games I had like on the PSN network. I
Mm.
think I'd gotten like some time ago. So I booted up two and played it on the Vita, which I just played as Leon. I don't know how to like switch to other characters on like when you're playing on Vita, because you don't have like the other discs and stuff.
I
Uh,
assume there's like a button that says switch discs because that's how it was in the
I
PS3.
yeah, that would make sense. I mean to be fair, like I didn't, try like too hard to
Mm.
like, look for it, but yeah, so I only played through that was my like most recent playthrough, but I still
Yeah.
had like a lot of fun with it. And
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, like even the cheesiness like, was still cool.
I still love the old games. I still love the fixed camera angles, and I think they work. And I would have been down for a fixed camera game, but naturally they want to make it appeal to more people, so it's third person over the shoulder. Um, so I mean, yeah, I guess we're at the point now where we're saying,
Mhm.
okay, how do you feel about it? Did you like Resident Evil 2 remake?
Yeah, I mean, I really, really loved it. Again, it's probably maybe more, yeah, something that, like you said, you were waiting for, 16 years or whatever. I can't really say that it's like something like, I'd been like, waiting on, pins and needles for a game like this, but it is definitely something where it's like, yeah, I haven't played like, a true horror game like this in a while. So after playing it, it is kind of like, oh yeah, I've been waiting for something like this again. That yeah, I didn't really realize that this was missing, but
Yeah,
I
honestly, I didn't think we were ever going to get it again. I'd kind of given up hope that I was going to get my Resident Evil style back. Like, I thought it was
yeah.
gone. I thought it was dead. And so playing this was just a joy. It was like, I was getting giddy as I was like discovering new rooms, and obviously
Well,
there was nostalgia in seeing like the rooms recreated. Like a lot of the map is the same, and
mm,
here's the new version of this room. Here's a new version of the main hall. Here's a new version
yeah.
of the I don't know, the art room or whatever. Like,
I mean, luckily it seems like it's doing well. So I mean, I
oh yeah,
hopefully that maybe there's some hope for, I don't know, maybe a three remake, or maybe if they're like, oh hey, like people like this so much, we for the next one maybe should go back to this style. I don't know if
I certainly
if
hope
that's
so.
too much to hope for, but
I mean,
yeah.
the three remakes are all but certain at this point. I mean, this Resident Evil 2 remake has sold more than seven did in
Oh
this
nice.
time frame by quite a margin. I think. I think what two's at now, seven took almost a year to hit that
Oh
number.
wow.
So two remakes doing
It's
very
only been
well.
like hasn't even been like 2 months, has it? Just been like a little over
Just a
a
little over a
month?
month. Yeah, they just announced they shipped 4 million copies worldwide,
Wow.
which doesn't include digital. So that plus digital. Uh,
Oh, nice.
so no, it's
See,
doing well.
I think I was maybe the one thing I was kind of worried is like if there'd be too many like modern aesthetics, like the like I don't know, like dumb examples of stuff. Like sometimes when you play a game now, and it's like, oh, don't forget you have to like brush your teeth every day, or your character will, their mouth will start to hurt or something. Like, I was worried to be like, I don't know, like dumb stuff like that. Obviously, that's an extreme example, but you know what I mean, like modern stuff that's kind of like a chore to
Sure,
do.
yeah.
But
Well,
and,
what I love about this though, doing well and people enjoying it, and it's generally getting really good reactions from people, is that it kind of proves that there was nothing wrong with this game design. This game
oh no,
design
yeah,
of unlocking doors, finding items, solving puzzles, this works just as well today as it did in 1998.
oh yeah, definitely.
Um, it doesn't have to have these weird RPG mechanics where everything's a grind to try and unlock stuff.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, like everything you have to, yeah, like you don't have to when you kill a zombie, like get the some item off him that you can use to like combine with a bunch of stuff and make some new potions or whatever, like kind of RPG thing people do. I don't
yeah.
know, but like, um,
Again, yeah. I mean, obviously, there's the gunpowder and stuff like that, but
yeah, yeah.
like again, it's kept simple enough where everything feels important, everything feels like it has value, and I love that in games like this. And Like I think it's such a tightly paced game. Like I felt like you're progressing at such a nice rate. You never feel like you're stuck in the one place for too long. You know,
Yeah.
I was worried it would try and hold your hand too much because it's a newer game, and it really doesn't.
Mm.
I feel like it lets you do your thing. It'll give you like a hint in the menu of what your main objective is. But honestly, like, because I was worried when I saw in the demo, oh, the main objective, find the three medals. But honestly, you spend a long time doing that the first time you're playing it. It's not like you just
Yeah.
go boom, 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 there's the three medals. It's like, no, you have to go around and get a couple of different keys before you can get to those three medals. You have to go around and do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I would say this is like the perfect pace for me. And like, I mean, old man talking here, but when you have like a full-time Monday through Friday job, that's 40 hours a week, and then you don't have like a ton of time to always play games and everything. But I was able to play maybe between like an hour and a half like each night usually, and then like on the weekends I might marathon, do maybe like 2 or 3 hours or whatever. But like I never felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. Like
Yeah.
even I would just be playing a little bit, but I always felt like I would like would be able to do something significant. And then but it also never felt like all right, this is a 100-hour game where 2 months later I'm still not like halfway through the game or whatever. Like I don't know, when I hear about the those kind of games, like I don't know, like Fallout or something, where it just like seems like there's so much to do, and I just like I'm like, "Oh, who has the time for that?"
I know, honestly, the last Fallout was boring as shit. Like.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I prefer this type of game design, and people who complain, oh, it's only the X amount of hours. Like, I mean, yeah, sure. Like, I've been that a bunch of times now. I can get through the game in under 3 hours quite comfortably, right? I can do a run in under 3 hours, and
Oh
uh,
wow.
like, and that's cool. In fact, one of the things that I love about Resident Evil games, the good ones, is that they are quite fun to do that. Like the first time, I think my first playthrough was maybe 10 hours, something like that. But
Mhm.
then you play it again, and because you've learned what you need to do, you can kind of crit path. You have like better routes to take. You learn the right times to go places, the right times to have items on you, when to keep your inventory empty, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like crit path in a Resident Evil game is a really fun, addictive thing, and for me, that is way more interesting and exciting in having that replayability than having 100-hour game that's like just constantly like random
Yeah.
battles, grinding, this, that, like, all
Mhm.
these kind of things. In fact, one of my favorite things that I heard about this is it's not open world design, but it's open level design. And you've got the
Oh,
whole
that's cool.
building, you can go around and do
Mhm.
whatever you want,
Yeah.
and you unlock stuff and go elsewhere. But everything's like so thought out. Every room's important. Every room has been
Mhm.
designed. It's not like these big open empty spaces where you're traveling between key points. Like everything is intricate. Everything matters.
And you know what I like is I feel like you know the games always start with like zombies. Those are like the first enemies you
Yeah,
face, and then you get more monsters and stuff as it goes. But like even by the end, like the zombies were still like scaring me. Like when I would come into a new
yeah,
room and like there'd be a zombie, like I never felt like, oh, I'm so overpowered now. Like I'm just gonna fly by this guy. It's like I get into a room and then I hear that groan or see a body on the floor that could potentially get up. Like I'm still like cautious, and I'm like a little nervous. Like all right, this
yeah.
could be a battle.
They did a really smart thing actually with the zombies. Like, okay, so you over the shoulder, you've got more power to like shoot and aim and that kind of thing. They did this smart thing where, like, no, to make the zombies tough, we're going to make them be really powerful. Like, the zombie bites take a lot of damage out of you. They can move kind of erratically. Sometimes they get a little bit faster. Sometimes they get a little bit more. They can double grab you.
Uh,
I don't know if that happened to you in your playthrough, Tim, but where like
I don't
two
know.
grab you at the same time.
Oh, I don't think I don't think I came upon that now.
Yeah, that can
That's
happen.
crazy.
Yeah, exactly, and you take double damage for it, so it can be like an instant death depending on like how you're standing at the time. So like they did that, and then I know some people have been kind of pissed that it has this mechanic where they kind of keep getting back up. They take a lot of shots to put down unless you get a lucky crit shot where their head kind of pops. But again, you're never totally sure if they're dead, and that also adds this kind of
Yeah.
tense kind of feeling. It's like like have I
And
done
again,
enough?
yeah, and do you want to waste the bullet to, shoot him in the
Mm.
head one more time to make sure? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's how you feel the first time you play it. Like on replays, you get kind of used to knowing how much ammo you're going to have by certain points in the game, and you can kind of like distribute it a little bit easier and better. And like, I don't mind wasting this because I know X amount's coming later. But that first time
Yeah,
through, you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to have enough for the final bosses. I need to conserve. I
yeah.
need to keep things back. And
I kind
was
of foolishly thought, you know, as I let you know when I beat I played as Claire for my first run through, and then I was like,
mm,
oh hey, if you want to do the podcast, like maybe wait till my second run through, and I'm sure it'll just take me a couple of days. It'll be like a breeze
yeah.
because I know everything, I know all the places now, and it should be easy to go. But I like the second run through is. There's a lot of stuff that's the same, but it's like different enough that, especially I think, more towards the beginning,
Mm,
um, like the layout and stuff was different, especially when you're playing as another character. Certain areas you can't access that I was like, okay, this isn't going to be like the cakewalk I thought it's going to
yeah.
be.
No, there is differences. I mean, I think if there's one critique I'd have of it, honestly, is that I do think the different scenarios, the B scenarios, aren't different enough compared to the
Hmm.
original game. Uh, like I think the first time you play, like as one character then the other, they feel really different because the two characters have a lot of differences. With
Yeah.
Leon, you meet Ada, you have that story. With Claire, you meet Sherry, and you do that story, and that
Hmm.
makes them feel different. There's certain areas you only go to as Leon, there's certain areas you only go to as Claire, and that gives them both this different feel. So I think on the first playthrough, when you do them like Claire A Leon B or Leon A Claire B,
Hmm.
is they feel really distinct and different. But I've done it the other way as well. I went back and did I did Claire A Leon B first. I went and then did Leon A Claire B, and when you play them both way rounds, you kind of realize that the A and B differences aren't actually that much. You start in a different area, you have a couple of different weapons, a couple of items you get sooner, a major sort of monster you encounter a bit earlier, and then of course you have the final ending where you get the real ending at the end. But
Hmm.
it's not as different as the original game did with A and B. So I would say if I have a critique, I'd say, oh, the B scenario could have been a bit more different.
Yeah.
But it's a minor thing overall. Like that is like the extent of my complaints.
There was one big surprise in the B scenario that made me go like, "Oh god damn."
Oh, we're just about to get to spoilers, I think. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I love the game from top to bottom.
Yeah, no,
Basically, I
yeah, it's fantastic. Like it definitely, the original was my favorite Resident Evil game. I don't know if this overtakes it. I mean, it might. I still probably need a little bit of time to think on it. But
yeah.
like, this was such a blast. I was really really happy with it.
I
And
think I've beaten it 7 times.
oh jeez.
I think it's so good. It's so
So the
replayable.
yeah, so the so like obviously yeah you have like the A and B scenarios, but like is there a like do you think in order to really get like in order to get like the true ending, yeah, you have to do A and then B,
Mm.
but and really to experience the full game, do you have to do A and B for each character, would you say? Or
I wouldn't say so for this game. I mean, I think if you love the game, you're going to want to do it just for the fun of like, okay, we'll
yeah.
shake it up and do it the opposite way around. I think
Mhm.
if you play A and B either way around, you've kind of played the main part of the game, and you can be
Okay.
satisfied with that. And I think you'll get enough out of that it's worth the money for playing it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But you do
Mm.
get the other way around. Once you've done A and B, you unlock the hunk like mini game.
Oh, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
we haven't really talked about. I mean, I guess maybe different than that, but like, I don't. Have you tried any of the Ghost Survivor stuff
I
yet?
have, yeah, because there was some free DLC. So Hunk
Mm.
and Tofu that were in the original game are back. That was like that was
Forgot about Tofu.
yeah. So you unlock Force Survivor when you do A and B, both of them, and you unlock Hunk, which is like a kind of like grueling, difficult mode where it's like usually it takes about 10 minutes or so to get through all these enemies, and you try to get to the end. It's really really hard. But if you beat that, you unlock Tofu, which is basically just the Hunk mode again, but you're a stick of tofu and you only have a bunch of knives on you. And what they added though is if you beat it with tofu, you unlock alternate versions of tofu who have different loadouts. You have one that's got like a cigar and has nothing but grenades. You unlock a tofu that's nothing but like flame rate grenades and flame rounds and stuff like that.
All
There's
right,
like five
interesting.
tofu versions. It's weird. But so they added a lot of stuff, and they did the free DLC, which is kind of like a Force Survivor tofu kind of thing, where you're playing as these different characters in these ultra hard kind of run to the finish line kind of thing and get through these enemies. And then not only that, you get these three characters. If you beat all three, you unlock a fourth one. So the DLC even has like a hidden fourth bonus mode, which is like a
Um,
horde mode at the gas station where you play as the sheriff and you try to like just like kill 100 zombies before you die. Um, they're really hard. I don't know if they're for everyone, but they're definitely cool free items and like free things to get. Like, it was only like 2 weeks after it came out they added these on. It was like, hey, here's some free DLC. Here's some
Yeah,
mini
I guess they're
games. Mm-hmm.
fine. I tried playing one of them and I was just like not into it. Like,
Yeah, yeah, it's super hard. It's like, only
like
if you want to like have this punishing difficult
yeah,
kind of thing. But it's free content. Like sure, like go for it. Like
yeah. I can't complain about
yeah,
it.
because I'd happily pay for some DLC on this. I mean, I got the deluxe version with the soundtrack, the original soundtrack
Oh, nice.
swap.
Yeah.
And after my first playthroughs, which I did in the original, the new music, I switched to the original, and it still works so well. Like that old music is just so good.
Oh,
Um, and it feels like it's
mm,
filled with love. There's a lot of little Easter eggs that call back to the
mm,
original. That thing that the original remake did of the first game, where the hallway with the dogs, like the glass would crack, but it wouldn't actually jump through.
mhm,
They do a similar thing here, where the window where the liquor usually goes past, it's not there,
mhm.
right?
Oh yeah.
But in scenario B,
Mm,
it does do the thing, and it plays with your
mm,
expectations. It's like a really fun little way of dealing with it. So,
I
super
think
cool.
I think maybe if I have one complaint, and it's a very minor, maybe just like a little
Mm.
nitpick, but I guess maybe there were some. Actually, I think maybe I kind of would like maybe like a little bit, a few more like cutscenes or something, because I was kind of expecting like similar, moments to the original where like yeah, when you're first introduced to the liquor, you have like that scene where it's crawling on
Mm.
the ceiling and stuff, and like I don't know, I was thinking like maybe more iconic moments like that. My cat's jumping over. Hey, what are you doing?
um,
Um,
I'm kind of 50-50 if I agree with you or not, because the liquor introduction in this, like, it's not a cutscene; it just plays out in front of you, and
it's cool,
yeah,
yeah. And well, like I feel like there's like iconic stuff in like that in this, but maybe not as more like attention-y, like all right,
yeah,
we're gonna stop the game and show you a scene now, which I don't know, I kind of miss that. Like I wouldn't want that to happen like a bunch in the game, but I don't know, maybe I think maybe I was expecting a little bit more
because
stuff like that.
there's a lot more of like characters like just talking to each other when they're together, like when
Yeah.
you're running
Mhm.
around, that kind of thing. Sometimes Leon or Claire will have like a little line. Which sometimes doesn't work, but often it'll do. Like, like when someone just says "son of a bitch" when like someone doesn't die
Yeah.
or something like that, and it's like, yeah, okay, this is kind of this works for me. I like this.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that are deadly, those liquors are absolutely like they jump and they kill you. Like they swipe and you're
Mm.
like almost dead. I was using the walk to not alert them like technique constantly,
Yeah.
because like fighting them was just such a bad idea, especially as Leon. Like Leon's shotgun was not that good for liquors.
His Yeah, I mean, the original, I was much more of a Leon guy. This one, I'm actually like more Claire. I actually liked her walkthrough better, especially like her weapons. Like the that a
Yeah,
great grenade launcher is just so much better than the shotgun.
yeah.
And I
I
usually love shotguns in games, but like
Yeah.
yeah, that was just so much more effective.
It was good for guaranteeing the crits and the zombies, but that was pretty much it. It's funny you bring up that you prefer Claire in this, because I think her weapons are better in this, because I do agree that Leon's weapons were better in the original. I always kind of like
Mhm.
Claire more as a character, though, and I think this game kind of cemented that, because I think Claire has the better story.
Well, yeah, and actually, Leon kind of annoyed me in this game. The one scene in particularly, like I used to think he was badass, but after this game, I'm like, no, he's kind of like a tool. Like, and
Is a dweeb,
once we get
yeah.
into spoilers, I'll
Yeah.
expand upon
I mean,
that. But
honestly, I think we can give the spoiler warning now and talk about the
okay,
characters and the stories, because I think that's where we're
yeah.
leading to here. Because I really like Claire's story in this. Like, I think that her voice actress is better than Leon's for a start.
Hmm. Yeah,
And I think Sherry's actually quite likable in this, because in the original she was kind of
yeah,
annoying and like like Claire,
yeah.
whereas here she's actually very likable and kind of adorable. Claire, I
And
think, has a
I
good
think
story where just like she has this thing where she starts off as this normal girl and she's just kind of like the voice acting's really good, and by the end of it, by the time she's like taking off her jacket and giving it to Sherry, and she's like, and I think that the key moment for me is that the not the final boss, but the boss you fight on the big platform,
Mhm.
not with the train, the one in the lab, where Annette's like there, in the cutscene right before.
like and like when you get the minigun, or
No,
the
before that.
oh, before that, okay,
It's the one where you've just gotten the G sample or whatever from the lab, and you run out, and the platform goes down, and it's like you're in the sort of the big arena area.
Oh, okay, yeah,
And he's got 4 arms. This is 4 arm William
yeah.
Birkin we're
Mhm.
dealing with here, right? Um, the key moment for me, where especially once I'd seen both like characters, like versions of this stuff,
Mhm.
is like, no, Claire's way better. She has a way better story because at this
Yeah,
part in Leon's story, like he comes out and he runs into a net and he kind of ends up just kind of getting trapped on the platform and he's like, okay, I guess I have to fight this thing now. In Claire's
yeah.
story, like Claire actually says, Annette, go and save your daughter because at this point Sherry's infected. She hands
Mhm.
her the antidote and says, "Go save your daughter." And Claire presses the button and chooses to go down the platform and fight the thing.
Yeah.
And it's this moment where
Mhm.
she takes the agency, and like, the music at this point is like, it's this like choir comes in at the music, and it's like ah ah ah, and she's like, no, I got this, I can do this, and she makes the choice to fight this thing. And what I love about that is that by this point in the game, right, I think it kind of mirrors us at this point because by this point we should be pretty overpowered because we've been collecting guns all game, and it's like, no, it's time
So
to fight this bastard.
this is what I love about these games is like I'm always so nervous in the beginning
Mm.
and very like conservative with my ammo, but then I love by the end where I'm like looking in my item box and I'm like
Yeah.
I have like 10 gunpowders. I have like, 20 rounds of magnum ammo. It's like I'm like so pumped to be like, yes,
Yeah.
let's do this.
It's time, yeah. And I think it mirrors how you feel as a player, but I think for Claire's story, it's like she's actually like everything up until this point in the game, she's fighting things for survival, not because she wants to, but because she has to, and she's kind of it's like a horror movie, she's thrown into it. But this point
Yeah.
in the game, she officially becomes Ellen Ripley. This is the moment in Aliens where she's like, "Get away from her, you bitch," and she
Yeah.
chooses to fight the monster. And
Mm.
that is like such a great character beat, and Leon never really has that. Like
No.
Leon just kind of up until the end, he's like just a dweeb. It's like,
Yeah, he's just
oh
like, "Oh, we gotta do this by the rules." Like,
yeah,
so the big thing that made me like just like hate Leon was when Annette is like, "Promise me when you get the G virus sample that you'll destroy it," and he goes, "I can't do that. No, it's evidence. We got to give it to the FBI." I'm like, "You freaking tool!" Like,
Not to mention
no,
the
like,
fact that Ada completely plays him. She kisses him at one point in this game
yeah.
just so that he'll shut
He's
up
like,
and do what
"Oh."
she says.
It's like, "Oh, gee golly, wow." Like, it's like, and I don't know, like, I just remember him being so cool in the original game, and now I'm just watching, I'm just like, he's so dopey, and like
And
everything's by the book, and
like I kind of like how much of an oblivious idiot he is, but like
yeah,
that I guess that's the cheesiest thing about the game is how much was an idiot Leon is.
yeah,
And he's still a fighter player. Ada's quite cool. Like I like Ada in this game. I think she's like
yeah, I
probably
like her. Yeah.
she's probably my favorite version of Ada actually because she's very confident. She is
That
mysterious, but you know.
Ooh, and that I had a tough time when you play as her too.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like when you're like, all right, so I don't have any of my like weapons or health items, and I don't have like my flashlight, and this place is like super dark, and oh great, and now here's Mr. X. Like,
yeah.
oh, that was a tough section.
Yeah, I mean, now that you've done it, you can kind of like just remember what you have to do and just sort of
Yeah,
perfect it. But yeah, it's really tough. I died a lot as Ada, my first
yeah,
playthrough. I think I like avoided dying most of the game, and then Ada had like 10 deaths, so it was
yeah,
weird. Um, but that was good. Sherry's section is clear. Like that is like a running stealth section,
I
but
yeah.
here's the difference between this and 7 though. This is designed with hiding places in mind where you can hide
Mhm.
that are
Yeah.
designed to be there to use. Whereas in 7, I felt like there was no place to actually hide. I felt like it was not designed
Yeah.
for that. It was weird.
And
But
I like this was maybe like one of the most original parts of the game
mhm.
because yeah, there was like no orphanage in the original, and like it was super creep like because like even though there's like new like places or rooms or whatever like in the police station, it still feels like the police station.
Yeah.
This is like a completely new area we never seen before, and which is cool. And then yeah, everything with Chief Irons
Oh
was
yeah.
just super
He
creepy
is
and
super dark in this game. Like one of the files you read, he's talking about like performing taxidermy on like various animals. And he's like, oh, that's like moose or whatever is not exciting anymore. Then the next page is like, oh, it's a tiger, and the next page is like it's a pig. But if you look at the description, it says it's a pig that's about 5 foot tall
yeah.
and weighs this amount. And I'm like, he's talking about a person. He's cutting up people now. He's a straight up
And
psychopath.
and then, well, like you were saying before, like this is like kind of a good return to home of like having discovering stuff through like the files and
Oh yeah, see the
you know
orphanage. Speaking of the orphanage, did you read the files in the orphanage?
yeah, well, there were like diaries and stuff of people,
Like
or
the
like stuff of kids like getting adopted or whatever.
Yeah, but they were never coming
Yeah,
back, so they weren't really getting adopted. They
yeah,
were being taken as lab experiments. I'm like, this is
it's
dark as
scary.
shit.
And I forget if this was in the original game, but like at one point you find like a newspaper clipping or a pamphlet or something talking about how they renovated this like art museum to be the police station.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I don't know if it was the exact file, but that the idea that this used to be a museum was in the original game. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't remember that, but that's cool that it's like all right. So that explains why there's like all these like fine sculptures and stuff
yeah, I know.
everywhere. Like,
Yeah, nah, because going to the differences with the layouts, like yeah, the police station is mostly the police station. They've redesigned a couple of things here or there, but it's the same kind of layout. There's a little extra bit here or there. I think once you get out of the police station, though, there was kind of this idea of like, okay, we kind of just redesigned everything from that point on, but a lot of the rooms that you remember pop up somewhere, even if they're not in exactly the same place. Like
yeah.
the big bridge in the sewers is there when you play as Ada, but it's not in the same place, or it doesn't lead to the same things like it originally did, or because the sewers is very different for the most part. There's no spiders, for
That's
example.
true.
It's just
Yeah.
the G mutation things, which are one of the most annoying
Cool.
enemies in the game, actually.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, those guys are tough.
when you get to the
Especially
lab,
as
like the main entrance to the lab looks kind of similar. You've got the big walkways. Once you get into the sides, though, it's a lot very different. But then you do have the cold room with the arm, like that's still there.
oh yeah,
You
yeah.
have the room with all the monitors, that's still there. You have the tram, although now the tram fight and the platform is actually at the end of Claire's game as opposed to being in the
Yeah.
middle. Like so, like the remix things, or like when you go to the orphanage, like you go through the basketball court. I'm like, oh, that was
Oh
from the
yeah.
original. That was at the start of the game. Like, so there's some remixed elements here or there. Like, where it's like, okay, they put this
Yeah.
in, so things
It's
pop up.
yeah, it's cool. It's always nice when they have like little nods, but it's not like like I feel like some modern references and other things like movies or whatever, it's just so like blatant and on the nose and stuff. Like it's it's
There's
nice that they
some wonderful subtle ones. You know when you go in the Western police office and it's like that's where Leon's desk is and it says "Welcome Leon" and a banner,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? If you look on the desk, there's an L because it's like individual letters they've put up, right? They've got like a set of letters. There's like an extra L sitting in the desk, and that's a callback to the original because in the original game it was misspelled with two L's in welcome.
Oh really?
So
Oh, I
that's
didn't
like
notice that.
that's
That's
like
cool.
that's a really subtle joke, but it's a really subtle like hey in the original game they
That's
misspelled it
really
with two L's. So it's the idea that
yeah.
they did that originally, but someone noticed and took it down and put it on the
I
desk.
I remember the original game, like one of the like coolest things I thought was like do you remember in the beginning you can there's like a zombie version of one of the original stars? Was it like the helicopter pilot?
Yeah, Brad under the yeah. If you
Yeah.
if you didn't pick up anything on the way to the police station, he'd be under the stairs section of the
I
police
thought that
station.
was so cool.
Yeah, there's a poster of him on the wall at that same area. Yeah.
Oh, in the remake?
Oh, did you not see this?
Oh, no, I think I
See,
missed it.
in the B scenario, there's like the little locked, like keychain room that's got an item box in it. It's where you get
Yeah.
your gun. Because in the B scenario, you get like a second handgun that uses different ammo.
Yeah.
In there's a
The
poster saying
Matilda?
it's like a Stars recruitment poster, and it's got Brad Vickers on it, and it says
Oh,
Brad Vickers, and it's
oh,
where
I
he
think I missed
was in the original. Yeah, that's just another one of those great little callbacks. And do
that.
you know what this says to me though? All these little things. It's like no, them making this game, they got it. They understood.
Oh yeah,
It was
definitely.
made with love. They knew people would
Yeah.
notice these things and like get giddy about them. It was like no, nothing
I
but
think
love.
the yeah, that's so great. I think like maybe like one of the maybe the only like obvious references I got or whatever is one of the rule of films you develop has a Rebecca Chambers picture.
More specifically, in the original, you had to click in Wesker's desk 52 times or something like that.
To get
To
that.
get that. In this game, like you go to his desk and it's not there. You can't click on it in the same way you did in the old one.
Mhm.
But what happens is later on you get like a shortcut, like Dark Souls style, back to the police station, and
Mhm.
you can come back up and you get this roll of film that lets you see some hiding places. And one of them is Wesker's desk, and you open the drawer in Wesker's desk and you get like an upgrade to either your Magnum or your machine gun, depending if you're Leon
Mhm.
Claire. And you can almost miss it. And this is the thing. This is kind of what calls back to the idea of having to click on it 52 times. There's a second item in there though. If you click on it again, you get the roll of film, and it's like, oh, this is going to be Rebecca. And sure enough, it is Rebecca. Uh, Also in the Stars office, the photo of the Stars team is still there. It's the original photo.
Oh, I don't think I saw
It's
that.
behind
That's
Wesker's
cool.
desk. Yeah, there's lots of
Yeah.
little touches like that. Uh, Really, really good.
So, all right, a few things to touch upon. I think Mr. X
X, gonna give it
would
to
be a
you,
good.
Mr.
He
X.
gee, I mean, I think this is one of the scariest things
Oh yeah,
in the game. Like
absolutely.
I think I did pretty good in the A scenario. I don't think I really had much trouble, like, there's the initial times, he shows up and you run away from him, but other than that, I don't think I ever really got cornered by him in one. So I was feeling pretty confident, but then in my B scenario, I like kept getting clobbered by him. I was like, oh, this is so annoying. But I would, it's not like a like annoying when it happens, but it's not like something that I didn't like about the game. But
Yeah,
yeah, he's just when you hear those footsteps, being like, oh God, where is he?
yeah. That the sound design in this game, hearing his footsteps like around the building as you're in there, is so good. And like Joe's in the original game, he was only in the B scenario, right? That was where the big difference is. And I almost
What?
wish they kept that in this just to make the B scenario feel
Yeah.
really different. But
Now, I don't remember, but was he in both B scenarios in the original
yeah,
or just okay?
he was in both. Both characters got him. But but he shows up much earlier in the B scenario in this, but he still shows up
Mhm.
in the A scenario. It's kind of that same design as the original game, of the original Resident Evil, where you're in the
Yeah.
mansion for a while, you go away for a bit, and you come back. And when you come back, there's hunters. In Resident Evil 2, you go into the basement area, you're in the and that's kind of area of the game. You eventually come back up to the main police building, and quite quickly you end up running to Mr. X in the A scenario. That's when he first pops in. And I actually I was streaming this, and just before that section, I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I'm about to do the helicopter part where I put out the fire," and I had this
Mhm.
like feeling in my stomach. This is because in the original game that was like a really early part of the game. That was right at the start where you put out that fire at the helicopter. I was like,
Mhm.
"This is so much later in the game. I think Mr. X is going to show up, even though it's the A scenario. I think they've put him in the first scenario." And there was this like feeling of dread, and sure enough, there he is, and I like running around. There was so many times where I was like in a room that first playthrough, and I could hear him walking. I was like terrified that he was right outside the door.
Mhm.
Um, you learn some tricks. I think one of the things that makes them not too bad is that you learn the rooms that he can't go in as you're playing. He
Yeah,
can't go in the stars room. He can't go in the interrogation room. He can't go in the
the
clock tower.
the dark room, that was my big
Yeah,
save point.
the not counting the main hall, which is a save room in the first scenario. He can't go in the
Mhm.
save rooms either, right? So there's rooms you can run to that are safe that he will
Mhm.
kind of piss off afterwards. Um,
Yeah,
Also, I don't know if this happened to you because it's not a guaranteed thing that'll happen. But when you're playing as Leon, there's a chance he will jump through the wall like he did in the original out the press room.
yes, that did happen to
That
me.
did happen to
I was
you, yeah. C-
actually, I would say one of my favorite actually cutscenes in the game was in Leon's scenario when he bursts through the wall and kills Ben.
yeah, that's his
Like
first
that was
hint.
so
Yeah,
cool.
that was really cool. Yeah, that's really neat. He's
Oh
really,
Jesus, I just remembered that part. Yeah, that when you're forced yeah, well, like once you're ready to leave the police station, but then you have to get the pass from him, and then you're basically forced between, all right, do I go down this hall with all the zombies or take the shortcut
yeah.
where Mr. X is?
Yeah, I can tell you after beating it a few times, have a flash grenade at the ready for that section. Just run
Yeah.
past everything. That is what you do at that section of the game. Uh, but like he's scary, and you learn these tricks. You learn like where he can't go, and I think on the A scenario especially, he's only there for like a short period. Like really, when you look at the length of the
There's
game.
yeah, I think yeah, there's a section or whatever in the A scenario where is it like he gets attacked or something and then he's basically gone for the whole game. But then what surprised me was in the B scenario, like all right, so yeah, there's the uh eventually Ada hits him with the truck and then
Yeah.
explodes him and stuff. So I think, okay, we're done with Mr. X. All right, good, I can breathe. And then I forget the exact moment, but there is
No,
a
I
point
can
where he
I can
reappears.
I can tell you the exact moment. It's when you get the third key card in the lab off the guy in the plant room. He comes up and
That's
smashes
what
the
it,
window.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I was like, oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
No, he can't be back.
Interesting tidbit though, because I did the same as you. I assumed that was because it was scenario B. It's not. That happens in Leon no matter what. That happens in the A scenario as
Oh,
well.
okay. Oh, okay. Oh,
Because
interesting.
your final boss is Leon, and not counting the one in the train, if it's the B scenario, is always Mr. X. You don't fight that William at the end on the platform
Oh. All right,
ever.
so okay, so yeah, Claire fights the that kind of like spiky
That's the
uh
second last William, we'll call him. Yeah,
yeah, and then okay, and then Leon fights the Mr. Mech
yeah.
X, like the kind of full-on tyrant version.
Yeah, I think in the character models they call that one at the end the Super Tyrant. That's what he's called when he mutates and
Okay.
has the big
I
arm.
love that. I am, you know, it's a really weird design, but I just love like the look of the original tyrant, just
Oh
like the
yeah,
weird like giant arm and the heart on the outside.
yep.
It looks really cool. And then oh
Of
man, and
when Ada throws down the rocket launcher and it's like yes,
yeah, I got chills. I was like, oh, I forgot like how every Resident Evil game used to end like this. Like
yeah.
this is so cool.
It's so good and it feels so good to use as well. That rocket launcher, it's so good.
So I guess like Ada survives that drop. Like
Well, that was the same in
uh,
the original game. She looked like she died, like
yeah.
unquestionably, and then
It's so
dropped the
big
rocket
though.
launcher. Yeah.
Like how the hell does that work?
I know, it's weird. But anyway, I
But
just
yeah.
one of the little details that I loved actually is when you go down that elevator in the middle of the lab at the end when the countdown started. Is it feels like Aliens where you get all these reactors going off, like it's all these big
Yeah.
spinning reactors in the in the side of the wall. And it's like, oh, this looks like amazing. But just
Yeah.
one last thing about Mr. X is like again, you realize some of the tricks where in the second scenario where he appears much earlier, he appears if you go into the stars hallway outside the stars office, right?
Mhm.
You can actually do almost everything you need to before getting into that hallway. If you put that
Oh
off
really?
to the last possible time, the only thing you
Oh.
have to do while he's around, because you go into the stars office, you get the battery for the detonator, right? All you have to
Mhm.
do is go up to that third floor section where you use that, get that final medal, and then if you leave that till last, you've already got the all two medals. You just go straight down to the basement, and that's you. You've already done the whole section. So
Oh, okay.
all you have to do in scenario B for that first section to avoid Mr. X is just leave that till last. Do everything else you want to do and do that
Okay.
last.
It's not bad.
That's actually the tactic. So,
Okay.
um, I mean that's just something that I kind of realized after like playing
Yeah.
it twice or three times or whatever. I'm like, oh, I
Cool.
can just avoid that for a while. Uh, but
Well,
but yeah, it's great.
yeah. Yeah. And then I really love the yeah, like beating it for the second time because I had fun doing the first playthrough, but yeah, the ending did feel like something was missing.
Yeah, it
And
just
then
fades to black. Like Leon walks through the train door. It's like, oh hey
yeah.
Claire, we made it. Yeah, we
Mm,
did. Fade to black. That's it.
mhm. Yeah, I think again like a small minor complaint, but maybe it would have been nice maybe if there was a little more like interaction uh with them like throughout the game or whatever because it really is just by the end it's like oh yeah hey like
Yeah,
uh,
obviously they start together. They meet at the gate like quite early on, and then right before the end, they see each other on the computer screen. Right, there's like a monitor. They're talking to each other on the intercom.
yeah and it just feels like kind of weird to be like oh yeah like it seems like they're still like very much like oh yeah we got to work together to escape but it's like oh like would you even remember this person from before like it's I don't know it I mean again like a small minor thing whatever
Yeah,
it's but
but see if you
just something I thought about.
if you actually think about the original though, they didn't actually meet up that much more than this.
That's true. Yeah.
They met like they never met at the gate before. They met instead in the stars office
Oh,
or
right. Yeah.
either the stars office or around the corner from the stars office when Sherry's running away.
Yeah.
After that, I don't think they meet again until like again, there's like a moment towards the end where they see each other on cameras. I think, but
Yeah.
like it goes quite a long time. It's not actually that different from the original in that sense.
Yeah.
At least in this one, there's a couple of notes to leave each other. Like you can find like a note saying, "Hey, don't worry about me, Leon.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's true.
Keep running," kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. But like that's really cool. You know, we mentioned we've talked about zombies. We talked there's some dogs in there.
Oh, the the dogs annoyed me.
Especially as Leon. We have the
Uh,
G mutations, which are nasty, and then we have the Ivos, which were in the original game, but they're very redesigned now. Because in the original
yeah.
game, they were like plants, whereas now they're like more like
I
zombie plant things.
I like this a lot better because yeah, like the original like just looks like a giant like Venus flytrap walking around,
Yeah,
which it's fine, but again, I think modern standards is a little too cheesy. This I actually thought was pretty cool, like especially the way the bodies kind of like fall from the ceiling and stuff, and Again, another thing where it's like, yeah, man, I had a harder time with these with Claire, but like when man with Leon, you got that flamethrower. Like these things are like nothing.
If you have flame
Like
rounds for your grade launcher, they're quite straightforward actually.
that's true. I always wanted to save those, though, because like I never knew like if I would need them, and then and you can't make them. You can only make the like acid
Yeah.
rounds or whatever.
Um.
Uh, so I always be
Honestly,
like, oh, I don't know if I should use these or
yeah.
not.
Honestly, that's where I'd use all your flame rounds up. Is on those. I think those are the ones that
Oh
require
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, like going back now, I probably would
Yeah.
have used those more, but
Yeah, and I like that most of the guns get upgrades and they get more advanced as you go
mhm,
through. The grenade launcher even gets spawned,
yeah,
spark shot gets spawned, the shotgun gets two, machine gun gets two. Like the
yeah.
some of the handguns get upgrades. I love how Claire's starting handgun becomes a magnum. Like you get an upgrade and it's like
Oh yeah,
now this can shoot
yeah.
magnum rounds. It's like wait what? Like, and that was really exciting and it's good. And,
Yeah.
um, like so I like I love this game. Like I
Yeah.
have like just praise and praise to give it. It's so addictive to play and replay and try and do things better and try and like solve the puzzles quicker, be more effective
Yeah.
in the bosses, learn the tricks. You know all those little things.
Yeah, like I'm satisfied for now just because again I don't have a ton of time to play
Mm.
stuff and man this is like a good time for Capcom because actually the thing I played after this was I got they re-released I guess not really like a remake, I guess more like an HD port or whatever of Onimusha, which I
Mm.
liked a lot at the time. Replaying it, it doesn't hold up that well. It was like a quick short game though or whatever, but right now I've been going back and playing some of the Devil May Cry though because I'm excited for the new one
Yeah, the
because
fifth
I
one. Yeah.
yeah, I'm a big fan of that series. So yeah, I like that Capcom is embracing some of their older games and hopefully going back to the stuff that people like and what works. But I mean, yeah, this will definitely be a game I play again in the future at some point.
And oh, we haven't even talked about how good it looks. Visually,
Oh
it's
yeah, it's stunning.
yeah.
It's really really good.
You're going through those hallways with a flashlight, and it has this it's oozing atmosphere. Or you're outside in the rain, like you always feel like you're there. It always feels like you're in it.
Yeah.
Actually, here's one of the additions gameplay wise that I love is they
Mhm.
made the blue herbs valuable because
Oh sure, yeah,
in the all the old games, blue herbs were poison and that was it, right? And
yeah.
you'd be poisoned maybe a couple of times throughout the whole playthrough. It wasn't that common. What they've done in this game is that the blue
Mhm.
herb plus red is like a defense boost where you take because they've actually because you don't take a lot of hits because they have the the fighting caution danger, but they took
Mhm.
out the yellow caution. It's just fine caution danger now, right? There's three
Mhm.
stages. But what happens is if you take the defense boost and it lasts for like a minute or two, you can
Yeah.
take like maybe a couple of hits before you go to caution, and then a couple of hits before you go to
Mhm.
danger. And on hardcore, which I've now beaten the A scenarios on
Jeez.
hardcore,
Oh wow.
every hit puts you in danger immediately. So
Oh gee.
so popping one of those defense boosts right
Mhm.
before the start of a boss fight is essential. Those blue
Yeah.
herbs are valuable. So having a triple of like red, blue, green, and using that
Mhm.
first before you use your first stage praise, so that you've got that defense boost for like the whole fight, is like
Mhm.
it's another element of strategy for the fights, but it's also just like a blue herb is no longer well I've got one in the box that'll do for the rest of the game. Like
Mhm.
I never need more than that. Now it's like no,
Yeah.
these blue herbs are valuable. Like they've
Mhm.
taken something that never used to really mean that much, and it's like no, now this matters.
Yeah.
This is a big thing. Inventory space
Mhm.
again is important. You do get a lot of upgrades in this though, especially on normal. You get up to like I think 16 slots by the time you've done all the upgrades.
Yeah, by the end it's like you're pretty spacious.
In fact, it may even be 24. Nah, hon. You get 1, 2, 3, 4. I think you get 6 upgrades. They're 2 each. 16 plus 12. 12 plus 8. 20. Yeah, you get 20 total
Mm,
by the time you're
mm,
done. On hardcore, you don't get as much. In hardcore, you only get 3 upgrades. So you only get, 14 total. So,
oof.
um, it's more old school in that way. But, like, nah, like, all this stuff is great. Like I
Mm,
say, like, scenarios, like, the B scenario could be more different overall from the A scenario, but it's not really that big a complaint in the grand scheme of things. Um, I have been
yeah.
addicted to this game. Like the idea that anything could dethrone this for me as game of the year, the rest of the year is like
Oh, sure.
silly. I've been waiting for this for over a decade and it delivered.
Mhm,
So like
mhm.
so I mean I guess the final things to really talk about is like
Mhm.
remake 3 baby.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally down for. I would play more, style games like this for sure. Yeah, it's so scary, and like there are really like sections where it feels really dark, and yeah, you have to use your flashlight, and like just a lot of stuff that adds to the scares. But yeah, I'm totally down for a three. It feels like the way to go would probably be remake three, and then I don't know. Would Code Veronica need a remake?
I think they should do Code Veronica. I think there's like hints in this as well because there's like a letter you get from Chris, and
Hmm.
he's speaking in code about investigating Umbrella. He's like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
on vacation and I'm under an umbrella. He's he's speaking in code, and I think it's
Mm,
hinting that they might actually be thinking about doing Code Veronica. I wonder if they do
uh,
something like would they like rename it to make it sound like it's not just like a because it sounds like a spin off and it's not.
Yeah.
It really is Resident Evil 4, and Resident Evil 4 is really Resident Evil 5 and so
Well,
on. But
yeah. Well, I mean, at the time, I think technically Code Veronica was supposed to be Resident Evil 3,
it
and
was,
then
yeah, yeah.
yeah, Nemesis was a side project, and they just like swap them out. But yeah, I mean, I say, yeah, I'd love to see two remakes for those. I mean, I think once you get to four, that doesn't. I feel like those don't really need to be remade,
Maybe
because they still.
a visual remake, maybe make it look
I
pretty.
mean,
I guess.
I think
I
they
don't know.
still look decent enough on modern system that I mean, I'm not like
Yeah.
big on graphic fidelity. I don't have like a huge TV or whatever. So, I mean, they still look fine to me. But like,
I
I don't know. I think at that point though, I'd want to start looking at eight.
well no, I think eight's next. I think eight's going to come out before three gets remade. I think they're going to swap
Okay.
between them. I think they'll do eight next. I hope that eight takes lessons from this. I hope eight is third person. I hope eight is
Yeah.
more like this style of game design. If it isn't, then I won't be too upset because three will be. I think three will
Hmm.
definitely follow in the formula that two has done in remaking two. So I am like super excited for three. I'm optimistic for eight because like I
Hmm.
hope they do take lessons from it. At the very least, take some lessons from it. I hope it's third person. I'll still play if it's first person. I'll still play it if it's more like seven, but I'll
Sure. Yeah.
I'll definitely be more excited if it's more like this. I
Yeah.
hope
100%. Yeah.
I hope this has set the standard for what Resident Evil is for the time being, and
Hmm.
so I think three remakes guaranteed. I really do. I think Code Veronica, if three does well,
Hmm.
I think then Code Veronica will be on the cards.
Nice.
But I think Capcom went away from their fans for a long time, and like this year, like both Resident Evil and Devil May Cry fans are getting kind of what they
Mhm.
wanted the whole time. And it's kind of
Yeah.
like yes,
No, it's really exciting. Those are two like really beloved franchises from me, and yeah, like just like last year they had like Mega Man 11, which was really fun for like old school Mega Man fans, and you know, hey, I like Capcom. Maybe other video game companies should kind of take a lesson from that.
it's like they realized, hey, why don't we just give people the games that they liked in the first place? Let's just do what the reason why they like these
Yeah,
franchises.
it's
Let's just fulfill that.
yeah, it's such a crazy concept. But I mean, hey, who knew? Who knows? Like, yeah, back when these games are popular, maybe that's what people want the
Yeah,
versions of them.
and
Like,
and just for the record, I mean, this should be obvious, but yes, Resident Evil 2 is a single player game. It does not have loot boxes. It does not have microtransactions. It has none of this shit. It is
thank God.
just yeah, it's just a well designed game that has proper pacing and is satisfying to play. It's satisfying to go through it. It's satisfying to replay it and like know what you're doing and do it better and do it quicker and just it's addictive. It really is. So
Yeah.
um, no, it's good. I've been playing it on PC. It looks gorgeous on PC. I do rent games on PS4. I think I'm going to rent it at some point on PS4 just to get the trophies
Oh,
because
okay.
why not?
Yeah.
But
That's fair.
if that's not a sign of a great game, I don't know what is. So yeah, I don't know how often this will be a thing where me and Tim sit down and talk about a game. Like obviously this is one that appealed to both of us. Um,
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. Yeah, I like doing it. I think it would probably mostly be like horror games.
yeah.
I think maybe well, the only other thing would be like maybe a big comic book game. Like if they did another, Rocksteady Batman game or something, we could probably do something like that too.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
but no, yeah, I would love if there's another horror game we're both interested in, like it'd be another fun time to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, things may pop up from time to time. We'll
Mm.
see. Maybe if Konami ever lets Silent Hill
Oh
go to
gosh.
someone else and we can do one of those, maybe that'd be delightful.
I mean,
But
that would be the dream, just yeah, I like Metal Gear, but I'm like not too like I don't need another Metal Gear game, but I feel like I still need a new Castlevania and a new Silent Hill game. Like, please, at some point, we need to get that going.
yeah, it's not a pachinko machine,
Yeah.
for the
Oh,
record.
yeah, I mean, technically they did say that they are releasing this mobile Castlevania game this year, but hey, surprised that I'm not like super excited about that. You know?
Yeah, you got Bloodstained coming.
Yeah, Bloodstain I'm very excited for. Like that's, I mean, I'm really, really excited for it. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. But again, even if it's the greatest Castlevania game ever, it still won't technically be Castlevania, Like,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But hey, so that has been our Resident Evil 2 discussions. Spoiler talk in the back half. We went into a
mhm,
bit of our history with the franchise, a bit more on the start, but
mhm.
hopefully this has been an enjoyable trip down the
Mhm.
Resident Evil lane, and maybe explains why this game appeals to us as fans
Yeah.
of the old series as much as it does.
Mhm.
If you're someone who's like, no, I want like five, I want co-op. I'm like, they keep co-op away from my game. I want single player Resident Evil games. Thank you very much.
Well,
Um,
hey, if they want to do another version of like, yeah, Survivor or Outbreak or whatever, where
sure.
yeah, like have those games or whatever, but yeah, when you're doing the core series, just
Yeah.
want to leave it.
This is what I want. This is exactly the game design that I want.
Mhm.
So no. So yeah, what's left to tell you? You can check out the regular monthly podcast, 1080-bit. You can of course check out the game streams that I do a lot over on the other YouTube channels called Mailed Fuzz Video Games. I think I think I can't remember. But I stream on there on a relatively regular basis. Often Resident Evil 2, often other things. I'm not very good, but that's part of the fun. So you can check out that. You can support the show and the channel and everything we do here at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. You get some bonuses. You get 1080-bit 3 days early. In fact, this will be included in that. So patrons have been
Mm.
hearing this 3 days early, and we'll see you on the public 3 days after, if that makes sense. But that is us. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz. And yeah, and obviously Tim mentioned at the start, me and Tim typically do Screams After Midnight, which is a horror movie
Mhm.
podcast, which we do every week. Sometimes you get 2 a week, but definitely once per week. And we talk about horror movies every week, so you can check out that. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep playing games. Keep playing Resident Evil. And what quote would I like to round this out on? I could do a Resident Evil 2 one, because if you ever play the original Resident Evil 2,
Mhm.
there's a lot of this. Ada,
Mhm.
wait! Ada, wait! There's of course, I have this. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
That was always a classic, yeah.
Yeah. I hope it's not
Mhm.
Chris's blood.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't really think of many. I was Claire says in the beginning, she goes, "There's a gun inside." I was thinking about that for some reason.
Oh yeah. The one I always say about the start of Resident Evil 2 is when she goes into a Kendall shop and he's like, "Oh, sorry, darling." And he's like,
Oh yeah.
"I thought you were one of those things."
Nice callback in this game. I'm glad that they included like the gun shop. That's cool.
Yeah, Kendall. Again, it wasn't at the
Yeah.
start. It was
Yeah.
like halfway through, but
Yeah.
yeah, fun little twist on
Mhm.
it. Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah. So yeah, if you want to hear it properly, if you put on the classic soundtrack, that includes the menu sounds and it includes the opening screen. So when you
Ooh.
boot up the game with the classic soundtrack enabled and you press start, it will go Resident Evil
Oh.
2.